have a hat on. I just recognized that I don't have a hat on today. You can see my bald ass head.
I'll give you some hair if you want it.
That's all right, man. I think I'm all right. You get older, it starts growing out of your nose and your ears and all sorts of crazy stuff. You're very welcome, Cujo. As always, thanks for being here. And a few others. So we're getting some people piling in right on. There's Harlock. We're getting some people piling in right away. You guys had a good show Friday, yeah?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was distracted.
That's all right.
Monsoon just unleashed outside.
That's all right. I usually ramble for 5 minutes before we get started, so whatever. But yeah, I was not here. I was at bachelorette party this weekend. For those that don't know, my daughter's getting married this year, so that's all cool. But they needed somebody to drive a boat, and they needed somebody to barbecue on the grill. And so we went down there and kind of horsed around and watched the girls have fun. And to be quite honest with you, I got asked about halfway through. One of my nieces looked at me and said, "So is this like the best bachelorette party you've ever seen or what?" I was like, I can honestly say it's the best one I've ever been to. This is the first one. They're different than guys, but either way. How was your weekend? How was your show? How did all the results go? Yeah, it wasn't bad, Harlock.
Yeah. I didn't play a lot this weekend. After a rough Friday night into Saturday morning, I just took a couple of days off of DFS. I mean, my rough wasn't DFS related. But
you focused on the bong?
Yeah.
Happy Monday.
I didn't drown my heartache.
Which you were talking before. Why don't you fill these guys in before we really get rolling here in the next, 60 seconds or so? Why don't you fill them in on the hockey? Obviously, you and Darth. I mean, you guys are paying mega attention to it.
Well, we got game 3 tonight when we move to beautiful, basically Miami, Florida.
Right, and where there's no ice. There's no ice there that's not artificially created.
They have to swim. That's why McJesus walks on water.
Walks on water. Yeah, I don't even think there's any ice in Edmonton this time of year, but whatever.
But yeah, we got a 1-1 series. The first 2 games have been insane, and if you don't like hockey, this is the time to watch and fall in love with it, because the first 2 games have delivered everything you could want from a hockey game. And, I think it would make somebody that didn't like hockey fall in love with it. Just, you're getting to see the best player on earth. You're getting to see the 2 best teams by far. And every game has lived up to it,
Yeah, like you said, it'll make you a fan. Now, I asked the crowd, if anybody's even watching, because if you're a DFS player, hockey and MLB are twin sisters.
Yeah.
The correlation matters, stacking matters. If you can play hockey, you can play MLB and vice versa. So I was maybe not the showdown stuff that's left over for hockey, but I was just curious if anybody was watching, in there, because it's a phenomenal playoff hockey is totally different than mid-December hockey.
And we had a big winner. I think it might have been game 1 of the Stanley Cup. We had like a $7,500 second place winner.
I did not see that.
He was going to win $20,000, but when Leon scored the game-winning goal, it knocked him to second.
I didn't see anybody share that. I'm assuming it was shared in the NHL.
Chat. It was accountant, DFS accountant.
Oh yeah, yeah. Frequent leader on the leaderboards. Yeah. See, we were asked if what are the chances Bello gets lit up tonight, and I'm going to say pretty decent, just because. Yeah. Now, he may not give up a bunch of power, but he does give up a lot of hits, and he's got a pretty low strikeout number and all that good stuff. So he would definitely be a decent target. And to be quite honest with you, Tampa Bay's, I guess, 4th, 5th owned, something like that. They're in the wheelhouse. When we talk stacks, I'll dive into a little bit of that. But in the meantime, our weather station is shut down. I'll just do the rundown here really quick if I can find my little board. Anyway, I'll remember it. It was 9 games and no Coors and no weather outside of Miami versus Pittsburgh, where that game looked pretty gnarly. The weather station, I'd show it right now. The weather station isn't available. I guess Joey's on vacation or something. My point is, when we don't have that, we can go to other sources. And one thing that I like to do is I like to look at cities and I like to see what their percentage chances of rain are. So I can look at Pittsburgh and I see, 50, 60, 70% during the day. Now I'm going to go to the hourly forecast and I'm going to look at when does that son of a bitch start? Because if it's starting at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night and then it fades off quick, like a line of storms is coming through and then it fades off quick, that's a delayed start. And that means that the arms are even sometimes safe because they get pushed back an hour. If it's one of those where it's 30, 40% and then it ramps up 50, 60, 70, through about the middle part of the game or whatever, then I know that in that case, then the arms are probably dead because it's going to start, then they're going to delay it, see if they can get it in, and then that starting pitcher's not coming back out. And then the other one is like steady chances, like let's say it gets into like 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, and then there's just it jumps like 80% and it doesn't let up for the remainder till like midnight. Well, that game probably ain't going to play. So when I look at those, or if it does play, it's going to get canceled, shortened, suspended, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I look for. I look for the timing. When you can find hourly forecasts, you can find this on Weather Underground, weather.com. You can find this on a lot of these different free AccuWeather type sites. And you can do a little bit of the weather yourself. And I know it takes a little bit more time, but when we don't have that weather station doing all that work for us, it'll pay dividends. Like tonight, it was 60, 70% for a large portion of that game. That game is probably in danger. In my opinion, it might play, it might not play. I'm not good at telling you when it's going to PPD or getting a percentage chance of that. I'm going to tell you, I don't think that the arms are all that safe, and I think the bats are even a little bit risky. Have you looked at anything and seen similar, or do you feel differently?
I haven't really paid super close attention to the weather. I was going to look closer to lock when I build a lineup, but I'm hoping it's playable because they're two of my favorite offenses.
Oh, wow. I would double check it. I heard there will be updates, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. So anytime now. And I would double check. And I would just watch. That's the only game. All of the other games, crystal clear. No rain chances to speak of. Nothing, outside of some random BS that might happen. I mean, very low chance that any of those games have any issues whatsoever. So I would just go to AccuWeather or something like that, pull up the hourly or the radar and see what that looks like, and then make your call from there. If you feel like you want to be on that game for bats and such, I would definitely do that. Personally, I'm a simplistic guy. I just turned that thing off, even though Pittsburgh and Miami are not typically teams that I want to target, and I'm probably with most people, and that means you probably get a bunch of leverage by targeting those teams, which is what you're hoping for. And to be honest with you, Pittsburgh against Miami, their IRT was pretty high. So it's not a bad thing.
Let's see it. I'm on Swish Analytics. They have a 30% precipitation chance. Light rain. I mean, everything I see here doesn't give me any concern.
Wow, good. Very good. Then I might have to double check it for lock too.
And then it basically goes down from there. Yeah.
Then that would be very good. Yeah, that would be good for arms and bats. Because if anything, it may start a little bit delayed and then drop off from there. So I will defer to Weatherman Tattoo on that one, and I'll double check it myself later to lock, or a little bit closer, like when we drop off the show. Or you could dive in on pitching, and I can look it up myself too.
All right, yeah.
The pitchers that I saw, I'll just set you up, but the pitchers I saw, you probably already know. Sale, Wheeler, Kikuchi. Springs looks popular now. Well, that's not pitching only. Sale, Wheeler, Kikuchi, Springs, Ortiz, Boyd. Boyd has slipped off. Boyd was higher this morning. Merrill Kelly dropped off. Those are a couple of guys with hitting high K scores on Carnage. So you tell me if you're going with the chalk, away from the chalk, or what lower-owned dudes you might
target. I was going to say Wheeler and Sale are chalk. it's hard to, want to pick on the Cubs. But let's see here. I'm trying to look. They are definitely like what I'm calling, the cash game guys.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it will be probably hard to take two. I was trying to get back to another screen here. I guess the next two guys I might, Kikuchi, Merle Kelly, probably Merle Kelly. Ortiz, Pavetta.
And is Pavetta on the slate tonight?
What is that?
Yeah, he is. He's going against the Dodgers. That's going to suppress that ownership.
Yeah. But
if he went on our chalkboard, I just pulled 3 or 4 people off chalkboard, and then I went looking at Carnage and saw K scores and people that I would include, and it looked like to me the top 4. I might as well show the Carnage report here. Actually, that would be helpful. Wheeler, Sale, Kelly, Boyd, top 4.
Yeah,
that's just K scores, just strikeouts.
I want to puke. Take a shot on, Shane Baz.
Really?
I don't know why.
I don't either. That's the beauty. Everybody's process is different. Yours is different than mine. Mine's different than XYZ listener. I see him as like 4th or 5th from the bottom on that Carnage report with a 247 ISO against. And man, I'm looking to stack against him, not play him. But that's me.
Yeah, I get.
Yeah. If you like him, if you like, I'm not here to crap on your dreams, man.
No. And the only reason I think I even named, I just have this history in my mind that I shit on him, and then he went off one night.
Yeah, and I can. Again, that's the thing that we talk to our members about a lot. Sometimes that happens. I mean, literally.
I think it's just stuck in the back of my head, just like, oh. But, maybe Yuri Perez, if you trust the pitchers in that Miami game. But I'm looking at offenses there.
Let's see. Well, this is my favorite thing to look at for pitching right now in that Carnage report. And greens and blues versus reds and yellows. If you're in here with some of these guys, that's fine. Yuri Perez is fine. All again against Miami, sure, makes sense. There's no data on him, but it makes sense. Luis Ortiz, whatever. These guys all make a certain degree of sense.
I don't mind May.
If I was setting, again, I'm just a turd. If I was setting my domination station up, I'd probably uncheck everybody but those top 4 guys. But see, I don't play large field GPPs where I have to hit the nuts either.
Yeah.
Well, you don't either.
I mean, none of these pitchers except for, the top 3, merely make me want to run to them, and 2 of them have crappy matchups.
Yeah, and the 2 of them are hella expensive too, Wheeler and Sale.
Yeah. I mean, they're all over. Well, I'm probably looking at.
And 9,500 versus LA seems a little pricey for Pavetta as well.
Yeah.
So if you're looking a little bit down the list.
I mean, the pitching is nothing.
Kelly and Boyd. Boyd's burned me twice.
I'm excited tonight.
Not that I care. I go back to the well on stuff because I'm pretty unemotional these days.
Yeah.
It is what it is. The numbers point to a guy, and if I wanted to get a little bit off the expensive stuff, I'd look at Matthew Boyd. But if I was looking for Wheeler and Sale, those pricey guys are telling me I need to find some value stacks, and that's sometimes where your Tampa Bays come in. Some of your lesser expensive teams can generate not necessarily leverage, because if everybody's taking Wheeler and Sale, then people are going to run to those cheaper bats too, which means if you drop down off of that and took, say, Kelly Boyd, or if you really wanted to take May, against the Padres or whatever, You can get down there in that low 8,000 range with both your pitchers, be under budget, and then probably pay up for a Dodger stack if you're really interested in them, or a Phillies stack if you're interested in them, or somebody that you really, really like in a good spot. And you can also always stack against the chalk too. Like if I'm not taking Wheeler, I could take Sale and Kelly, or Sale and Boyd, or Sale and May, or Sale whatever, Pavetta, and then I can take those guys, or Kikuchi, and go against the grain and stack Cubs.
I think the more I talk to myself in my head, I really like Kelly, Merrill Kelly.
For those that don't know, when we're looking here at the Carnage report, the K score is actual strikeout percentage plus the opponent's strikeout percentage. So if you've got a high strikeout pitcher and a high strikeout team, that number is going to be high. In this case, they're both over 25%. That's what's registering a 556. It means added together, it's 55.6%. We just dropped the percent and moved the decimals. But VK score is kind of like X WOBA. It's expected. It's matchup based. It's a little extra thing that our boy Nilly throws into the K score to get you a little bit more chance of upside. Maybe a little bit more like numbers are indicating that this could be a really, really good matchup for XYZ. Sometimes you see these numbers go up. Sometimes you see these numbers go down based off the actual K score. And in this case, Merrill Kelly shoots off the map at 640. That's a pretty sharp looking pick if he's got his stuff tonight. If he doesn't have his stuff, he can get roughed up. But if he's got his stuff, he's got the most strikeout and most K upside. Probably this could indicate things like betting the prop over, depending on the price of that.
I got him at 29.4% chance to go 8+.
Yeah. And that's one of those things. You can ladder a prop too. You can take the base prop and then add a strikeout, for a little bit more, like you put a full unit on his prop and then put half a unit and a third of a unit and a quarter unit or whatever on each additional K more. And if he runs the table and strikes out 10 tonight, then you cash all those props, whatever it is, 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, yada, 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 and at a better and better and better price. It's just like laddering DFS contests. And it's pretty smart. And obviously, the higher you climb up the ladder, the more unlikely that is to happen. So you use smaller and smaller and smaller portions of your budget or unit size. But the payout's better when it hits. Just smart bankroll management. I don't see a lot. I mean, you mentioned a couple of these other guys. I don't see a lot in here. We'll see like
super exciting with
like Savali. Savali going up against Atlanta. 3.97 Carnage, 2.81 expected WOBA, 1.8. He gives up some power, but he doesn't give up a lot of hits. It looks like in this case, 459 K score is pretty low. But look at it drop to the VK score. That means to me that he's almost like an under prop. He's not. I don't know. That may not be the sharpest way to go about that, but from 459 down to 388 doesn't mean that I need to be stacking Atlanta. It just means I probably don't need Savali on my pitching pool because his ceiling should be significantly lower. And in fact, this might damage his floor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Most of these numbers go up. Sometimes they go down, like Jeffrey Springs, again, 445 down to 378. Again, it doesn't mean he's going to get roughed up. It just means he probably doesn't have the K upside that he would in a better matchup. And then Andre Palante for St. Louis going up against Toronto, 317 K score versus a 370 VK score. It's like shit became slightly less smelly shit.
Yeah.
It's really all that is. It doesn't mean, the K score, the VK score went up. I need to be on. No. The number is still shit. So we got to always use our own common sense filters too in the numbers that we're looking at. So I don't know. Sometimes it's worth walking us through. When I looked at implied run total, this is something that I also have enjoyed doing. I play with ChatGPT a lot now, and hopefully it helps me either make a little bit of content, make some videos, make some whatever. And in this case, one of the correlations, obviously, between implied run total and the chalk. So what AI was telling me to do was rank everybody based on implied run total and then fade the top two chalky IRTs. So we can use our handy dandy leverage sheet for that, and I can show people that little bit of a process as well because it's kind of funny. Let's open that up and share it. See, this is one thing you're going to get with me, guys. This is why you guys need to follow the show every day. You're going to get different hosts. You're going to get different opinions. You're going to get – I'm always going to defer to Razzle. I'm going to defer to Tattoo, to Dark, to those types of guys. But I'm the goofy guinea pig guy that I've always just experimented, tried new shit, asked a bunch of questions, and then I spout out what I learn as I learn it.
Jeffrey Springs no longer starting?
Oh, okay. Well, that's it. Well, that means whatever the hell they're replacing him with probably isn't even as good as he is. Yeah. Unless they're just going next man up in the rotation. If I rank IRTs here, just so people can see, 5.7 for Arizona, 5.58 for Cleveland. Let me make that a little bigger. That's 5.28 for LA and then the Angels. And then St. Louis is a 4.72, right? So we're looking at these guys here. And when we look at these guys, see how quickly it drops off? That's not a big deal in terms of where you should go or what you should do. Anything over about a 4.5, if you look at historical numbers, ends up in the nut lineup quite often. So I wouldn't get worried until I maybe got down here to like a Pittsburgh or Philly or San Diego. Their IRTs are not necessarily high enough. It doesn't mean they won't pop off. It just means the likelihood's not as high as these top, say, 6 or 7 teams. And so I can go through these and say these are the teams that obviously are going to correlate with the chalk. Well, when I slide over here to total ownership rank, in this case, it's backwards, red, 18, 17. Those are the 2 chalky teams. So the highest implied run total are also the highest chalk teams, and that is Arizona and Cleveland. So Arizona and Cleveland would be 2 teams I might fade tonight, according to AI. And I like studying AI, and I like using AI because if I suck, it's not my fault. It's AI's fault.
That's right.
I can blame it on somebody. I might come down here to these guys that are sliding a little bit under the radar, right? These guys like the 5.28 and the 4.72, which are the Angels and the Cardinals at 12th and 15th in ownership. Now, they're still kind of carrying some ownership, but they're not carrying as much. So I can get off of the true most common teams and take somebody with a similar implied run total that is pretty much, splitting hairs and take that less ownership on these guys. And if I really, really wanted to, now that I know that I'm fading the top 2 teams in ownership, I can sort by ownership. I can knock these 2 out and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and take these 5 teams in this window right here and just stack them in my 3 max or my 20 max or whatever. Come down a little bit more, down into 12, 11, and 10 in my maybe 20 max. But then when you're starting to get into your 50, 100, 150 MMU runs, and start including these teams. So
I'm not trying to be funny here.
No, you're good, man.
But I assume the game it's okay. They're going to play baseball in the Los Angeles, Southern California area.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when shit like that happened before, with that type of stuff, and even here in St. Louis when they did the Michael Brown stuff, and when they went up north in Minnesota for the George Floyd stuff. Not to get political, but I do remember.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to jump into that world.
Right. But I remember those games.
Purely speaking from a DFS.
Yeah. Those games did require a little bit of watching because you never know when shit hits the fan and people can't get to a game or the players can't get there safely from their hotel or whatever, and then they have to go ahead and scrap the game. So that's definitely worth watching. That's a really, really good point to bring up because we haven't had to deal with that for a long time.
Yeah. We got Los Angeles Angels, they play in Anaheim, but I don't know. And
Dodgers are in San Diego, so that's all right.
Yeah, in San Diego.
But the Angels do make a difference there. That's true. That's a good point. So that would be worth maybe watching.
I just thought of, I just popped in my head, and I was like, "Is that stupid?"
Okay, Kerry Silvers is saying he lives in LA. The game should be fine. So I'll take boots on the ground.
Yeah.
But for future reference, the point is valid. And that's what I think the main takeaway there is.
I'll take the boots on the ground because they see real life and we see what we're being fed. So.
Absolutely. Which Sure. And again, not to get into that whole
Yeah,
world.
yeah, exactly.
But yes. And Darth is helping Harlock there with Holman's opening. Spring should come in after, which takes him out of play on FD since you're looking for the win combination with the quality start. Viable on DK, but cut your exposure down based on that news. So thanks for the help, Darth. Good one. So again, a little bit of a risk, but all of DFS is a risk. The last thing this isn't, I don't know if this is a hot topic or not either, but this is the one thing that really drives me nuts is when people used to complain when the weather would shut down a game and go, oh, but we didn't know before lock. Or in this case, if it is something like that is kind of political or protest related or whatever, and people go, well, I didn't know that the game would. No, it's a risk. We're telling you it's a risk.
It's called gambling.
Now, even if everybody thinks it's going to play, the thing is, if you play it, I'm not saying don't play it. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to take their word for it. I will include it. I will play it. Absolutely. And in fact, if more people are on Twitter are starting to kind of mention that or get a little bit confused by that or say, oh, I don't know, maybe it's a risk, then I might go overweight on it because I'm going to trust the boots on the ground 9 times out of 10. But when it does, cancel someday and it burns us upside down and backwards, I'm not going to email DK and want my money back either. I'm not going to be that guy. So, oh, you owe me, you didn't cancel it. No. I knew the risk. I knew the risk.
Really like some LA offense.
Right? I knew well, and we know this from talking previously. Angels are a boomer bust team, perfect for GPPs. So they're either going to thump the hell out of that guy or they're going to strike out 10 times or whatever. So really and truly, both sides of a game with the Angels in it this year are in play. And again, if it becomes a situation where it looks like when people are afraid, we need to get greedy because ownership runs away from certain things. If we can pick up on it now, it may not be anything to pick up on right now, but if we can pick up on it and people do start chirping and getting a little nervous or whatever, and they start getting fearful, then we need to get greedy about a situation like that if it makes sense. Now, again, it might not make sense. We might be talking about, slightly less smelly poop. And if we're talking about that, then it doesn't make sense to jump on the bandwagon. But one of the sharpest DFS concepts that has nothing to do with numbers and research or anything, has everything to do with game perception, environment perception. And when people are afraid of rain, weather, protests, pitcher injury, whatever, when people are afraid of something, sometimes we can capitalize on that by being greedy, and vice versa. When people are getting really, really greedy and they're chasing points, oh my God, Detroit scored 13 or blah, 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 blah. Coors Field is on the slate. When people get greedy, we can become very fearful. And that helps keep you almost in a contrarian mindset almost all the time. So when you're playing GPPs and stuff like that, you're always kind of taking the sharper side of fading the public. Whatever the public does, I kind of want to go the other way most of the time because they're recreational. They're not as educated. They're not as studied. And to be fair, sharper minds kind of see the game theory side of that and say, maybe. What if something weird happened? I want to be over here instead of over there. And that's why you see the same names at the top of leaderboards quite often. Let's see. What else do we got? Because there's really not a lot to talk about today, unless you've got some, bong dongs in the hole. That was a weird statement. It's a very weird statement. Bong dongs in the hole. Fire in the hole.
I guess I got maybe some BVP that stands out.
Let it eat, brother.
Josh Lau, 7 for 17 with a home run, 2 extra base hits off of Bello. Jonathan Aranda, is that his name? 5 for 12 off of Bellows. Yandy Diaz, 5 for 14. Jose Caballero, 4 for 7. So there's some guys. Tatis, 3 for 6 off of May.
You got any bombs in there?
I'm trying to. It's no real home run history. Nobody has more than one off of somebody.
Okay. Because I had him as a one-off in a lineup. I was altering around. I got two different combos of, I think it was St. Louis and Cleveland tonight, where I was using, like, when I said fade Cleveland and Arizona, what I would do is I'd put them in my mini stacks. Like, I might not 5-stack them, but I'll put them in my little 2-man stack in a 5x2. And I got two combinations of 5 St. Louis and 2 Cleveland. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to switch out one of these Clevelands, and I'll include whatever. And I went bouncing around. I had a lot. I think I went LA Angels. And because of salary savings, I used stupid little Rengifo at second base. It allowed me to get Ward in the outfield. And then it freed up so much salary that my one-offs were like Tatis and whatever else. And I was just like, oh, that's a little saucy. You know, I don't need much out of Rengifo. If Ward hits a bomb and then Tatis is a one-off goes off, I looked at his projection. It's Fernando Tatis Jr. and his ownership projection is like 6%, 7%. That's, I don't know, catches my attention.
I was going to say dingers or dongs or bongs or jongs. Manny Machado, he's been hot. You know, he's 3 for 10 with a home run off of Dustin Carrot Top Man. I took Josh Lau, Mike Trout, and I think Brent Rooker.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Question for you, question for the crowd. If you had the choice, and this may or may not be based on a true story, if you had the choice tonight between Tatis Jr. and Mike Trout, who's your one-off?
I need to see price.
I want to see the people in the comment. I want to see what the public sentiment is. We got some people in here watching. If you guys have an answer, would you rather do Mike Trout or would you rather do Tatis Jr. as a one-off, pure of anything, away from any of the stacks that you're in? You've got enough money left over. Those are your two choices. Or Kyle Schwarber. Because those were my three choices. Like I said, may or may not be based on a true story. And when I was kind of building the lineup, I was looking at it. I was like, ooh, I don't know. See, Trout for floor. Do you think he's got he's always got upside, but coming off injury, all that. I didn't look up his recent 7-game numbers or anything. I know he's hit a bomb or two. Matchup based.
Yeah, Trout. I think Trout.
Yeah, the fish. No, that freaking Tim Salmon dude retired, Harlock. He's long gone. I don't know what fish you're talking about. I know it's rainbow trout. could be a spring pickerel. Maybe
but I guess
a giant darter.
From DFS perspective.
See, that's my thing. That's where you can always default to lowest owned. Look at all three. Who's lowest owned? Take that guy.
I don't even see Schwarber on the list.
None of the three are highly owned. Well, you should be.
Well, Tatis is 11%. Trout's 10%.
Let's look him up.
Which is.
Let's go hitters. Let's go
top 6.
Sort by ownership. There's Tatis at 12% owned. Lau, the boy you're mentioning, leading off, 11% owned. Ozuna wouldn't be a bad one off sometimes. Guriel Otani sliding down the ranks. Springer, Rodriguez, Duran, which can't compete with Mike Trout, but Duran and Trout are the same price. What's that about? Same price, same ownership. Wow.
Two guys, same team.
Schwarber, way down the list.
Loud and low. Catfish Hunter made me think about it. One of my best friends, her uncle is.
Everybody's on Trout. Fair enough. If I get across that conversation or that spot again, I'll take Trout.
My brain locked up mid-thought. I was thinking about the relief pitcher with a great mustache.
Raleigh Fingers?
another one. Played for the A's. He gave up the home run to
Kirk Gibson.
Kirk Gibson.
It's Dennis Eckersley.
Dennis Eckersley.
I'm either full of useless trivia or I'm too old and I remember. That's the worst part about it. I'm old and I remember. So I remember, going around the bases.
I remember doing that on my couch.
Right.
When I saw it, when it happened, I was like, but my neighbor, I think it's been so long now, but his last name was Woodson. He was on that team. He lived
oh, no kidding,
right down the street, I'm in the country, so right down the street might be a couple miles, but
well, yeah, neighbor, you trick or treat 3 houses.
Yeah.
Rural
that was incredible. I've always been an Orioles fan, but what was that, 81?
I don't know. Harlock maybe can tell us. It might have been later than that. It might have been 86, 7, 8.
Was that one of the later? Maybe, yeah.
Had to be late 80s. Had to be late 80s. It's funny you mentioned that because the 2 biggest – everybody has their biggest moment. This is another one for the comments. It's not DFS related again, but if you are what is your baseball memory? Because I've got 2. Well, 3, but I've got 2 old ones. 88 sounds about right. Because it was before La Russa and Eckersley and those guys came to the Cardinals.
88 sounds right.
But I'm watching, for me, Albert Pujols hitting the bomb off Lidge over the railroad tracks in Enron or Minute Maid or whatever Houston's called now. Dude was unhittable for so long, and it's like everybody in the Cardinals deep running the playoffs, and they're sitting there just going, "We can't get this guy. We can't get this guy. We can't." Oh shit, we just got him. That ball might still be flying. And for me, it was in 06. I was sitting on my couch in my living room when Wainwright was a rookie. Adam Wainwright was a rookie, and he came in and he struck out Carlos Beltran looking with that 12-6 hook that we haven't seen in a long, long time. And he was supposed to be a starter, of course, but he came in as a closer because he's a rookie. And, oh, my God, the way he froze and buckled Beltran's knees, I'll never forget it. I stood up on my couch, and I could not believe that we advanced. I was just like, I buckled my knees when I saw it. I was just like, holy shit. It was one of the most amazing pitches I've ever seen. And Sid Bream slide. Yeah.
I still, for a personal moment, is in 83, watching Cal Ripken catch that last out for the World Series.
Yeah. Absolutely. We've all got them. If we're baseball fans, we've all got them. I've seen David Freese in St. Louis when he hit that home run that sent it to Game 7, and he spiked the helmet between his legs and basically galloped home on a horse. That was just that night. And I had one of my best friends slept through it. His wife had to wake him up, and he said he watched the replay, and then he had to watch the last 4 innings of the game because he couldn't go back to sleep. I was like, you shouldn't have gone to sleep in the first place, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. He slept right through it.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I would say my introduction to sports, I'm 51, was really Michael Jordan and the craziest thing, Ralph Sampson, because of where I grew up, UVA, and they were number 1, and so basketball was my first love, and then I got to actually see Orioles games all the times. But those 2 are my introduction to sports, Jordan and Ralph Sampson. So
Larry Walker at the All-Star game.
Gretzky.
Yeah, well, Gretzky, of course.
I try to tell people, they're like Edmonton.
Right.
And I'm like, when I was a kid, brother, I was like, the NHL final was on tape delay. And it was probably the only hockey that you saw the entire year.
Right.
It's not like it was on TV all the time. I remember the NBA finals being tape delayed.
Yeah. We're old enough. My introduction to sport was Cardinals. my grandfather had corporate tickets, and he brought us to a game, and he said, "Bring your glove. We're down the first base side in the box seats or whatever, company box seats, and we might catch a foul ball." It's the St. Louis Cardinals versus the San Diego Padres in 82, 81 or 82. Anyway, I'm like 7, and we get to go to the game, and my grandpa's like, hey, this shortstop we just traded for, this Ozzie Smith kid. He's obviously he's really, really good, and Whitey Herzog likes him, and he's really known for his defense. But when he takes the field in the first inning, he does a backflip. It's like, watch for that. Sure as shit, he goes out, does a backflip. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. I've never seen a baseball player do that before. Like I've watched, Drew Pearson spike football and do the finger guns and all this kind of stuff. But I'm like, I've never seen, this is pretty
Billy
cool.
White Shoes Johnson, what is this shit?
And I said, well, what does the other shortstop do when he takes the field? Because I'm 7. I'm like, if one guy does one, some other guy has to do the other, whatever. My grandfather goes, well, they just traded Ozzie Smith for Gary Templeton. And Templeton's now on the Padres. And Templeton's a real mean son of a gun, and he was really upset about the trade. I wouldn't be surprised if he came out here and like gave the fans, they're going to boo him. And I wouldn't be surprised if they gave the fans, the bird or something like that. Sure as shit, he was right. Dirty old man was so right. Templeton walks out on the field and the fans start booing him, and Templeton's like middle finger saluting the fans. And I was like, I love this game.
We're about 2 weeks post one of the biggest screw ups in the history of baseball's anniversary,
which
it was
is
about 2 weeks ago when somebody may have been throwing a perfect game, and somebody was called safe at first when they were obviously not. Even though they showed the replay, even the runner was like, what?
Oh, I know. I remember that. Yeah. He's like, there's no way. There's no way. So, okay, I'll go stand on first. But
that was crazy.
Shouldn't be here.
When even the runner is like, no, dude, I'm definitely out.
Right. Oh, man. I'll tell you what. I've got another story I'll try to save for the next show that I'm thinking of in my head. 'Cause I don't want to we've turned the last 15 minutes of this into whatever, because there's not a lot of DFS to talk about. It's time for DFS questions, because we're going to get out of here in about 2 minutes. Otherwise, Tattoo and I can sit here and just tell stories all day. And if comments want to tell stories, man, we'll sit here. We'll just story time's fine with me. But man, we got a lot of stories. Yeah, I got sports stories from freaking hell. From this is a golf week.
I mean, look, I fell in love with Cal Ripken as a rookie. Watched an entire career, and then Derek Jeter, and now Derek Jeter is retired, and it's just like, you watch Jordan from college retire, and then watch 20 years of LeBron.
I know, right? Well, I'm a Jordan honk, always will be. Harlock, what do you mean by sneaky? Do you want like stupid sneaky, or do you want reasonable sneaky? Something that has a chance, or do you just want me to pull something out of my butt?
I mean, I think my sneaky are Miami and Pittsburgh.
I like Miami, and I was going to actually say
Miami would be,
Here's why.
I kind of pull it from the hockey mindset that when two shitty teams play.
Yeah.
I mean,
no issues. And look at Mike Burrows' limited data, but look at his ISO against. 373 xWOB and a 353 ISO against. So if anybody's going to hit some bombs tonight, if Miami's ever going to hit them, it might be now.
Yeah. It's like if both teams suck and both teams' pitchers suck, I might lean with the batters.
Yep. I'm going to look at something that makes sense in terms of carnage and ISO, and I might go against Boz again with Boston. They're a little bit lower on the ownership tree. Therefore, they're going to generate a little bit of leverage or whatever. But, here's the thing. You want, and this is a chalk stack, but this always interests me too. If I go straight up leverage rankings, and when I see that the number one leverage stack is also the chalk, it kind of becomes sneaky just to eat the chalk. So, I mean, that was the thing. I was like, if you want a reasonable shot to win something tonight, Like we can get off the radar and we can talk Boston and we can talk, Miami, or we can talk, paying up for Dodgers or whatever you want to talk about.
You can take Arizona or whoever the
they all make
chalkiest
sense. Yeah.
And not take all the chalkiest hitters too,
You could do that. You could fade 1, 2, 3 and do a 5 through 9 stack or 5 through 8 stack, something like that for sure. But just in general. Or you could do this too. You can make here's another thing you can do. I'll show you this in Domination Station. If I was going to mandate Arizona stacks, let's say I want to go 5x2, make them 100% of my stacks, make 10 lineups if I can, and a couple of unique players and whatever else, right? And then I take every team out and I put in Arizona at 100%. Because let's say we're just going to do the chalk and that's what we're going to do. And I don't even care if you uncheck and check back some of these teams over on the right side and say you don't want Seattle and you don't want, Milwaukee and you don't. That's fine. Uncheck them. But if you're just running Arizona straight up with the other teams that you like on this side, here's how you get different with that Arizona stack. You're wanting leverage, but you're wanting to avoid duplication. Come right down here and take $1,000 off the top of that stack right there in the salary cap slider. Take 1,500 off, go 48,500, something like that. Now you're going to have that 5-man Arizona stack that's cheap. You're going to force some salary off the table, which is going to force you different in one of those pitchers, or it's going to force you different in your secondary stack, or it's going to force you different in your one-off. And instantly, you've gotten just enough different that you can eat the chalk and gain leverage. Now, if you want to win a large field, kind of like the Marlins, it's fine. Tattoos on them. Marlins, go for it. You can fit all 5 of those dudes in. If you could probably take both expensive pitchers too.
I'm hand building a lineup right now. I started with Kelly and Pivetta for a 5 max.
So Kelly and Pivetta, that's 8,500 and 9,500. So that's 18,000 in your salary. So you're reasonable. You're under the 20 if you just went double chalk. And then who are you looking for Miami as your 5-man stack?
Because I'm not looking at anything but DraftKings and building it by hand.
Because if we look right here, Miami's not that far down the list. When we sort, this is all ranked by leverage.
I like David
sort by leverage. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nice cheap catcher to throw in there to start with, and then that can be adjusted if necessary.
Let's see what DS likes as well. While you're doing that, I'll use Miami as well because I want to see what Miami does on the secondary side of a 5x2. I went 5x on that on accident.
Put in my
10 lineups, and that'd be another one. You probably wouldn't need to force anyone off the table there. I want to see who the secondary side of these are. So there's 5 Marlins, Wheeler, Kelly, Wheeler, Sale. There's an expensive one for you, Harlock. Wheeler, Sale, double floor, double upside in those pitchers if you want. Now there's other ways to go, but there's your basically 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 Miami stacks. You get the total meat of their lineup because they're cheap, and then 2 Reds and a 1 off in Cleveland. 2 Reds, 2 Red. Really likes the Reds. 2 A's. 2 Cleveland. So that's chalky on the Cleveland side. It's Wheeler, Kelly, a couple of Cleveland guys, and it's the 2-3 in Cleveland as well. You get Jose Ramirez in there, which is pretty cool.
I went
Arizona's.
Travis Psycho T Diarno. I can never say his last name. The Tampa Bay are not Aranda, whatever. My brain is not functioning. Xavier Edwards, Norby Lopez, Josh Lau, Jesus Sanchez, and Kyle Stowers.
Okay.
And left me with 0.
Well, if you're using 5 Marlins, you can go 0 salary remaining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you like Arizona and Cleveland so much that you're doing 5 of one and 2 of the other, and you're basically using both the chalky stacks, then you're either going to get a little bit different at pitching, or you're going to leave some salary off the table. That's one way to do it. Or you focus on the bottom of the order in your 5-man stack. That's one way to do it. Or you focus on the bottom in both stacks and hope that whatever it is, you just got to get a little bit different. You don't got to get stupid. You just got to get a little bit different. And these are just ways to do it. And the thing is, I can give you these ways, and I can probably give you 5 or 10 more. And they all make sense, and they're all experience tested. And that's the damn problem with this DFS MLB sport we like so much, is it's so damn volatile. They all make sense, and damn if most of them don't miss 90% of the time. It's absolutely fun tinkering.
Well, especially when I love tinkering. We're gambling on guys who fail 60 to 70% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes them great.
Right. Well, anyone hitting 100, freaking 300 today, damn Hall of Famer just about. It doesn't happen that much anymore. I know that we've got our 369s and we've got our whatever else out of Judge and those guys. But shit. You all right over there?
Yeah, the ice went down the wrong way.
I'll say a quick prayer you don't drown.
Ironic that ice would be what kills me.
It is ironic. It's ironic as hell. But yeah, hopefully you see a little bit of the technique too, Harlock, where if that's what you want to do, you want to lock in that one side and then see what DS gives you on the other side. I expected it to pay up. That did. It went with some other lower owned teams. It paid up in 2-3 hitters or 3-4 hitters or whatever, which is fine. And then it started getting to some of the Arizonas and whatever, because I was expecting it's just going to go straight chalk with the other, because that's what's going to pop in the optimizers when you force Miami in there. And it took a little while to get there, but it did. But you get ideas. You're like, what would be wrong with Cincinnati as a mini stack? I don't know, nothing. When Razzle was doing the show, you'd hear him talk all the time about he leaves everybody in there for his mini stacks, because any two can go off, and you never know. So you get some, I don't know, game stack with Miami and Pittsburgh, and stack Miami on the 5 side and get a mini stack on the Pittsburgh side and get lucky, and both those guys hit bombs, and they lose 12-2. But you got both bombs on the other side of it, then shoot, you got yourself a hell of a mini stack. It's just, this game is so funny that way. I tend to play. You like what?
Henry Davis from Pittsburgh. Maybe kind of a cheapie.
Got them everywhere. Do you have any other final thoughts, or because I'm going to get to building some lineups here myself, and we can let these guys.
Yeah, and you better hurry up because it's a 640 lock.
Right on. Well, it ain't going to take me long. I'm a simplistic machine builder.
No, final thoughts, y'all. Helmets up. I want to see a bunch of winners. I think I'll be back here Wednesday.
Okay.
I think you got pasta the next 2 days, and hope I don't die of cardiac arrest tonight watching the hockey game.
I hope you don't drown in your sleep with that ice in your throat.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. As always, DFS Army, thumbs up, comments, all that good stuff. And I appreciate the comments over there on the side, and really, really appreciate the participation, because, again, it's you guys' show. You guys get to guide us, and we're going to do what you guys ask us to do. So don't be shy. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We don't bite. And, we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Peace out.